Hey everyone, thank you for joining me. So today I'm going to show you how I etch and stonewash my blades. Now there's different ways of doing it, but in this video I'm just going to show you how I do it on mine. So we're going to use the mini Bugout from Benchmade, and I just did a video on this switching it out to the Flytanium scales, which I think looks really good, and I do like the orange pop of color. So basically what I want to do is I want to match the blade to the hardware, so to make it as dark as I can. I don't know how to make it to the black that I like, or the darkness that I like. I know Kershaw does it really well, and eventually one day I'll get it that dark, but I will get it to the best of my ability to get as close as I can to the dark finish. But anyways, before we get into it, I just wanted to point out this is S30V steel, and one thing I did notice about the higher end steels is that they etch a lot better. D2 is really the only steel that's kind of iffy when it comes to etching, because it kind of just varies, again depending on what the manufacturer does with their heat treat. So with that being said, more than likely this stuff will etch very nice, since I did a Spyderco a couple months back and it turned out really well. So hopefully it's the same with this one. So really quick, I'm just going to take off the blade and then we'll go from there. Alright, so here is the blade taken off of the handle. It's a cute little blade since it is the mini Bugout, but you can see we have the thumb studs left over, and I'm also going to take these off just to make my life easier. And then another thing I'm going to do is, or I'm going to walk you through it basically, is I'm going to show you where I like to apply the nail polish to keep it from getting etched and affected by the ferric chloride. So let me take the thumb studs off, and then I'll show you where I like to apply my nail polish. Alright, so here is the blade completely naked, if you will. Took everything off of it. The thumb stud didn't really want to come off, so I used a clamp and then just a little piece of leather to clamp onto the opposite end of the thumb stud, and then I just took it off. So it was a little stubborn, but I was able to get it off without damaging it. So with that being said, now I'm going to show you where I like to apply the nail polish just to keep everything working smoothly, mainly the smooth side where the axis lock rides on. So we're going to keep that nice and smooth, and then I believe that's pretty much it. So let's get to that. Alright, I forgot to mention before I actually apply the nail polish, I'm going to be cleaning the blade with some lacquer thinner. I prefer lacquer thinner because it kind of keeps everything from, you basically just avoid streaks on the blade when you're cleaning it. So this is what I like to use. I get mine at Lowe's. You can get it at Home Depot as well. But just get a little bit on the towel and give it a nice wipe just to make sure there's no oils, because oils will affect the etch, so keep that in mind. Just going to clean it everywhere, all the nooks and crannies. And then I'm going to show you where I like to apply the nail polish. Now before I apply the nail polish, I'm just going to use a little object I have here for a mill bit, just to rest the blade at an angle, just so the nail polish has, just so it doesn't touch anything and ruin the nail polish, and then it'll air dry better too. So I'm going to apply it to where the washers sit and where the axis lock likes to ride. So I'm going to apply it there, and then I should be good. Alright, so here it is applied to the washer area, and try to do the best you can to get it. Sometimes if I don't like it, I'll just restart. So I got it on both ends, and then where the lock bar, or the axis lock likes to ride. And then if anything's smudged over, I'll just take a razor blade just to clean it off, and it's nice and clean and it looks good. So we're going to get to etching it. So the way I like to dip it in my ferric chloride, and speaking of the ferric chloride, I like to do like 20% apple cider vinegar with the ferric chloride. So that's the mixture that I found that best works for me. So that's the solution I like to make for my etching. But I like to use a pencil, and then you put a little bit of tape so the so the metal doesn't spin or anything when I am dipping it in or moving it around. But you can see that I hooked it through the pivot pin area, so it's nice and cleaned. I used a fine haired brush just to dust off the just the little specks of fabric or anything that got on there from the towel. And when I dip it into the solution, I like to give it just a little bit of a jiggle or bang it on the sides just to get the air bubbles off of the blade. Because if you do end up getting an air bubble, then you have a kind of a spotted look and then it doesn't really look that great. If that does happen, you basically just have to sand it down and then re-etch it. But I'll just show you how I do it. So everything is set and just put it in. And like I said, just a couple bounces and eventually you'll see some bubbles come up, and those are the bubbles you don't want on your etching. So just a couple shakes just to double check, make sure it's good, and then I'm gonna leave it in here for about 2 minutes and then check it. So we'll see what it looks like in about 2 minutes. Alright guys, so I checked it about 2 minutes later and it was pretty dark, so I actually left it in for another minute, so a total of 3 minutes, and counting whatever these seconds are. So basically what I'm going to do is I am going to pull it out, use a paper towel just to keep it from dripping. But I am super happy with how dark it is at the moment, and there you guys can see, pretty dark. I wish it would stay this dark, but once I wipe it, it's going to get a little bit lighter since the carbon will just basically come right off. But what I'm going to do now is actually push this aside, and then what I like to do is sterilize the ferric chloride. I just use a little tub and I'm going to sterilize it with some Windex. So I'm just going to spray it on again just to sterilize and stop the ferric chloride from etching or continuing to etch the blade. So that's what I like to do. Make sure to get it pretty thoroughly so that way you don't have any of that harsh chemicals on your hands. And then once I do this, I'm actually going to take it off of the little hook here. And then I'm actually going to go wash it in some water. I'll do that off camera because, I mean, that's nothing crazy. But you can see when I'm going to wipe right here, very dark. But I'm going to just show you guys just a quick sample. So there is the carbon that's coming off. I'm going to go wash it really quick and then we'll see what it looks like all washed up. So here it is all washed up, and I'm actually really happy with how it etched. And it's actually very dark. Like I said in the beginning of the video, the higher quality steels do etch better, and you can see it's a lot darker than I was actually expecting, so we're really happy with that. And then the logo actually turned out really nice. Steel's still shiny, same with the S30V, so super happy with that. And then what the axis lock rides on is nice and smooth and protected from the nail polish. So the next step is to actually stone wash it. I have a plastic bottle here with some ceramic stones. All the stuff that I'm using in this video, I'll leave a link down below. You guys can get this stuff and try it out if you'd like. So I'm going to do it by hand. Typically I like to do it with the drill, but it works, for some reason it works better in a glass jar when you use the drill. But since I have the plastic one, I'm going to do it by hand. And while I have it in there, I'm going to go in a circular motion. I found out that tends to be the best result I get from stonewashing. So again, I'm going to go in a circular motion instead of up and down. So I'm just going to put this in here. And I have a little bit of water in there too. So I'm going to go tip down. And again, go in a circular motion. So I'm going to get that finished up and then we'll see what it looks like. Alright, so I'm done tumbling it by hand, and I'd say about every 30 seconds I would open it up and check it out just to see what the finish would look like. And I wanted it to be more of a stone wash, so I did it about maybe for a minute and a half, so about 3-4 times in the tumbler. But as you guys can see, it turned out really, really well. Super happy with the result. And as always, let me know down below what you guys think. But there it is. Really happy with it. And the final touch I will do on this blade is, after I sharpen it, I'm going to add some WD-40, which will darken it and protect it as well. So I'm going to sharpen it really quick. I have my Lansky set up. I'm going to set it up really quick and I'll show you how I do it, and just a really quick tutorial on that as well. Alright, so I got it locked in the Lansky setup here. Just a basic setup. Nothing too fancy going on, but I like to use the fine diamond. I have extra fine, but I like to use the fine because it gives it a nice grain on the cutting edge, and then basically you're just cleaning the etching off of the cutting edge, so it's not like you're giving it a new edge. You're just cleaning it up, making it look real nice. So that's what I'm going to do, and then I'll show you how I apply the WD-40 after the sharpening. So now that I have a fresh edge on it, I hang it up just on a screw up here above my table. And like I said, I'm going to use some WD-40 and just spray it on nice and gentle. And then I'm going to let this soak in for about maybe 15-20 minutes. And of course I make sure to get both sides. Get that really quick. So there we go, nice and covered. It's a lot darker, and like I said, I'll let it sit here for 15-20 minutes and I'll give it a final wipe down, and that's pretty much it. So with it all being done, I'll meet you guys up in the studio and we'll take a closer look. Alright, now that we're back up here in the studio, we can take a closer look at the finish, which I'm super happy with. I already put the thumb studs back on, but there is the stonewashed finish. And the WD-40 did darken it just a little bit more, so I got closer to the black that I've been wanting, or the dark gray if you will. But there it is, and I really like how the logo is still very, very clear at certain angles. So when the light hits it, it's still doing its thing. Same with the S30V. Just, I'm really, really happy with it. And I can't wait to put it back on to see what it looks like contrasting with the hardware and the titanium. So let's do just that. We'll put it on and we'll take a closer look at that as well. Alright, so here it is all put together. I think it looks really, really good. Let me show you guys the blade. The action is really good. I messed with it a little bit, but there it is. I just love a good stone wash on a blade, specifically just because it hides scratches, and typically when you have a really, really nice satin finish or a polished finish, just the smallest little scratch is an eyesore. So that's why I love a good stone wash. Let me know down below what you guys think and how it goes with the hardware. I think it goes really well. And then once I am able to anodize titanium, once I get set up for it, more than likely I'll probably etch and stone wash the liners, which I probably should have done this time, but I can always do that later. And then probably do a nice bright greenish, bluish finish on the titanium. I think it'll go really well. I did put a little dab of oil on the smooth part of the blade where the axis lock rides. Just makes it a little bit smoother, and I try not to gunk it up too much because you can see it kind of builds up where the axis lock lands in the open position. So usually just clean that out and then it'll get back to where it needs to be. But that's just one thing I wanted to point out. But there it is, you guys. That is how I acid etch my blades and stone wash them. So that's pretty much it. So one final thing to do is do a little paper cut test, because those are always fun, and just to make sure everything is sharp. So really happy with how sharp it is. I mean, that's basically butter. Again, I'm still learning how to sharpen blades, so I think it's getting better. Paper cut tests usually let me know if I am getting better at sharpening blades, but there is the end result. More than likely I'll probably do a sharpening video of how I sharpen as well, so expect that video here pretty soon. And there we go. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys on the next one.